Sociology majors?
Sociology, okay. So Marissa would be another point of contact. Also keep in mind that as you meet with us, we do kind of overlap. Marissa is also kind of the government specialist. So for students that are interested in embarking in government, or some aspects of healthcare, oftentimes you may call the front office and then they schedule you with me, because I work a lot more with the healthcare professions, students, as opposed to maybe Marissa. Here and there she does, but for the most part it may be me or Michelle. So keep in mind that there's no one person that you could go to, that you could often get some additional tips and strategies from different people too, that are going to help you better prepare and plan for what those next steps are. So one of the things that I would highly recommend you do, even though I'm here to just talk to you and really discuss networking, I highly encourage you to get familiar with our Career Center website. Because what's the primary reason that you come to school? To come to get a degree. Why do you need the degree for? Get a job, right? And what's kind of that next step? So job, but we're going to call it a career, right? So to pursue a career, to get that job, to get some of that experience, to really develop and become a stronger candidate. Because at the end, that's the key goal here, for you to be a stronger candidate from the competition. So that way when you graduate or when you apply to graduate school, you have a lot more to offer them. And you have experiences to be able to say, I want to do this because this is what I've done and this is how it connects to my interests in pursuing these things. So the Career Center is very critical in that, because we help with not only career explorations, or if you're trying to figure out what to do with your major, or you have an idea now, but later on through the course of your academics or your experiences, your contacts, you're like, you know what, I think I might want to explore this other aspect. You could always come in to see us. So career exploration, one of those key things. Career planning. Because you can't really pursue that long-term career goal if you don't know what you need in order to be marketable, right? So what are some of those key things that are important in planning? And then career preparation. And this is a piece that, as a former recruiter, as a former interviewer, that was one of the reasons I changed careers, because I would recruit often at college campuses, and a lot of the candidates that would come in showed potential, but they didn't know how to market themselves in a resume, on a cover letter, in an interview. So a lot of that career preparation that's going to entail. So those are kind of the three main key points of how the Career Center could help you be successful. So I highly encourage you navigate through our website, really get to learn it. Because it saddens me when students are graduating and they've never been to our center before. So you, in essence, you've had me in your sessions, and most likely you will hear or you will see me in the future. Okay? Even if you don't come in, you're going to see me in a class or presentation. So that's a little kind of the commercial of the Career Center. So I just wanted to show you where you could find that information. But now I'm just going to focus on networking. So I'm going to start off a little with doing what we call it Caringo. It's career bingo, and my family we call it loteria. So has anyone played loteria before? Loteria, it's kind of the Mexican version of bingo, I guess you could say. So I'm going to pass out, and I'm going to pass out this bingo sheet, Caringo sheet. And we're going to start doing some networking. I mean, you've had an opportunity to maybe get to know each other a little through the course of your time with each other. But I'm going to have you stand up. I know.
Let's do this.
Anything to get steps in. So usually this works a lot better too if it's a bigger group, But we're going to multiply you, right? And usually what you want to do is go up to the person, introduce yourself, and then ask some of these questions and see if, they identify or have or are matched to any of those key pieces in there. Usually you would just do one person, but I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get two, from that one person, okay? So the main goal, I think I put here, build 2 line sets if it was a larger group. But, one line, so, go around.
Already
And
doing
you could
it.
use us as well.
Let me see what's on there.
You guys check this one.
Oh.
Check this one twice a day.
Only twice a day?
More than twice.
More than twice a day, I definitely.
Oh, no, Erin.
I want to hear.
And know that
So, even though
I can
you
sign
know
up to
each other-
2, so be
Have you ever been in a
cautious.
conference?
Have you
Yeah,
attended a
we're
conference?
Yes.
Yes. Me first.
Me first.
No, I gotta
You-
get on mine.
You can't ask me anything else now. You realize
Only
that,
2
right?
max.
As an animal.
Who has 2 more? Oh, can we put our own name?
No, you can't put your own
Do
name.
you have any? Do you have 2 more
Alright.
siblings?
Did you put 2?
Do you have
Yeah.
2?
Have you attended? You like to
Yes.
In the last
Who has the
year,
resume?
I so, but I feel better signing up on the conference because I know for sure that I've done that.
Exactly.
Have you attended to more than 6?
Which
one?
In last year.
No.
Or you-
I'm gonna sign these though. It wasn't frozen. I had yogurt.
You got.
Are you done already?
Line
Wait,
in a row.
Erin.
What?
One
You
or
did?
2?
I use the free space.
Wow.
I should say you can't use the free space.
Well, it was on
free.
there. I mean, it was on there.
I do not. I wish I had.
Did you volunteer? Have you ever volunteered for Josh for?
I have,
Let's see.
although it's funny because I didn't formally interview for this.
A few seconds to wrap up.
I
got
usually
the
chose
winner.
that one.
Or more languages?
You want me to sign that one? No.
Uh,
I can
okay.
sign
There you
these.
go.
Okay. Yeah.
No Lady Gaga fans here. I guess you're
No.
sad.
No.
Have you been to 6 more movies in the last year?
Jenny asked me that, and I was like, probably.
Who
but I
ate
don't
frozen
really know.
yogurt?
Oh.
Like actually in the movie theater.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 more
Have you
seconds.
attended a conference?
Yeah.
Erin has. I can sign the other one.
The movie
Here,
one?
Eunice.
Have her sign a movie one.
Here, Eunice. No, I haven't.
No, which one?
These 2.
Oh.
No, you got
All
it?
right.
Okay. So we got our main winner, well,
You
our
won
first
last-
winner.
Anna. Yeah. Oh, they're good.
I do.
Do you check it more than twice a day?
You know what?
This is the asking question.
I do.
Erin does.
All
Do I sign
right.
I don't want to
No,
lie.
you.
Oh, I signed you twice
you.
already.
I would like it.
I like this one.
This is a good bingo sheet.
This here just table, again, it usually works a lot better when it's a lot larger room and you have to go around.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, I don't know, we're kind of cheating because some of you have probably already gotten to know each other. And it's like, oh, I know you've done this. I know you like Lady Gaga. Here, can you sign this? So part of it is really to kind of dive into really communicating with people, introducing yourself, and being mindful as far as like what's the objective, that you have in doing this activity. What was the objective for you?
Finding more about someone else.
Yeah, something fun, right? Yeah. And then, ultimately it's trying to make connections because that's a primary goal here too. Is in anything you do, how can you connect your skills, your abilities to maybe that conversation or that person? And how can they help you later down the line? And I'll dive a little bit more into detail. But, just to kind of give you an idea, the key with the networking is getting comfortable asking, getting comfortable going out there. How many of you are introverts?
Oh,
Yeah. Now, would you say, in the time that I've been here, would you know that I was an introvert? No, right? Sometimes, I have to kind of jump out of my little shell, especially as it relates to my role and even my former role as a recruiter. And I really have to kind of push away the extrovert, feeling and becoming an extrovert or introvert to become an extrovert. just because, again, my primary role is to really kind of make connections with people to see how these individuals are gonna help you at the end of the day. Really gathering information and all that. So oftentimes, you know, you may encounter that it's not that easy. And I can tell you when I was in your shoes many, many years ago, I wasn't good at networking. But it started, you know, at some point. And you'll get a chance, you know, by attending these type of opportunities, by going to conferences in the future, really getting yourself out there, you're gonna start to build. Because that's another primary goal, that the skills that you came in with are gonna be much stronger by the time you graduate. And networking is one of those. You know, you may be still a little shy and whatnot, but slowly but surely, you know, you're gonna have enough ample opportunities and projects and participation with many of the activities that the Allied Health Academy has, that it's really gonna challenge you, right, to go out there and really kind of work on those communication skills. I see some of you are like, oh man, what did I get myself into? But then again, if we don't challenge you, you're not gonna learn, right? You're not gonna go out there and be like, okay, let me do it. Yeah, it's gonna be scary standing up in front of a crowd of 500 people, but I'm only doing it, and we're not gonna have you do that right now. In the future, who knows, maybe you could be the next professor and you'll be presenting your material, you know, or your research in a conference. You may be doing that in the future. It's gonna be taking baby steps, you know, to get there. So what exactly is networking? So networking, you know, as I mentioned, it's all about making those connections. Finding folks, finding people that are gonna allow you, or you're gonna be able to create, establish those relationships with, that can help you later down the line. Or that may be supporting you. You know, like you're networking with the staff at the Allied Health Academy here at campus. You know, and sometimes even at your respective high schools that you're coming from as well. You know, you've had a chance to network with those. You know, and the main goal is for them to help you, you know, guide you through the process, support you through this process, and really helping you identify the right career path for you. What are your interests? Maybe even learn about certain things. Anything that is going to help you achieve your goals. Because we all have goals, right? As I mentioned, you all come to school for a reason. You're not just getting that degree, but that degree that you're getting is going to be related to what you want to do in the future. And the primary thing is seeking those long-term connections. So not just short-term, you know, I'm just going to use them for right now, you know, to help get that job. But, you know, and then ultimately you're gonna see that you'll have different type of networks also within your time frame here at Cal State Florida. But it's about being genuine, it's about being authentic, it's about being honest. And again, you can't not be that and make the connections. So why networking? Networking is so critical, especially as you plan and prepare for those next steps after you graduate. You know, primarily employment opportunities at the end. I was having this conversation with someone not so long ago. Their staff member on campus and their daughter was in high school and was interested in becoming a nurse. And I was like, well, you know, she should go to different hospitals and ask about maybe volunteering at a hospital. And she's all like, and my sister-in-law works at blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you should have her start there. You know, have your sister-in-law connect her with maybe somebody in the volunteering program, and then have her, you know, commence some experiences. Although kind of relates employment, internship, or even volunteering kind of fall under the same umbrella, but it's really kind of exploring those type of opportunities that are going to help you gain experience and gain more of that hands-on. Scholarships. You gotta network. You gotta find out where I can get some money to help me pay for school, right? Do you know where you could find that? How can you network with the Career Center people? Because there's some listings on some of their resources. How can you find out? You know, and oftentimes it's not only what you know, but it's who you know that can help you get connected. You may hear someone tell you, or hear a peer or another classmate talk about a scholarship opportunity, or even employment or internship or volunteering. And now you have a piece, you know, where you could kind of pursue, you know, to gain more information about that. Information again kind of comes in all, but you know, primarily career information that you may need in order to best plan and prepare, best assess what are some of the next steps, or where am I lacking experience, where am I lacking on, or where do I need to further develop some of the skills. And then networking to really extend your network. Sure, all of you have a level of networks right now, right? That you can think of. We'll do an exercise in a bit to help you kind of determine your inventory of network. But should you stop there? No. I mean, now I think back to almost 20 years of my career, of people that I could reach out to, not only here at Cal State Fullerton, but even outside, because I worked in the private industry for 10 years. That could potentially, I have friends and, they extend. So there's a lot of people that I have extended my network in the last 20 years of my career. So where do I start? It's important to start this piece in developing our elevator pitch, or our 30 to 60 sales commercial, or commercial. Have you heard of that before? It's an elevator pitch. It's a sales commercial. At the end, you're selling your product, right? You're selling your skills. You're selling your experiences. You're trying to make that impact with individuals that are going to help make that connection and get to know more about you. So it's kind of more of an introduction. So really kind of finding a way to entice people to want to get to know you. Because if you don't give them something where it's like, oh, you're a Cal State Fullerton student. I know in the HCOP, can't remember the acronym.
That's right.
Yeah. But, Summer Bridge, even when you start here, I'm part of the Allied Health Academy, people are going to recognize that. Figure out who you are and what makes you unique. So you really can think of developing your pitch if you don't have what you bring to the table, or you haven't reflected on what you could offer potential employers, potential people, or the potential conversations with that contact. And then once you gauge that, then how can you create that story, that introduction with someone? And then ultimately it's finding out really who can help you and how you could use them to help you along this process. So to start off, we're gonna work on a little activity to help you develop your own pitch. So in preparing your elevator, and the reason this elevator pitch came up, or the term, is basically somebody, if you were to go into an elevator and go from the 1st to the 10th floor and encounter that there's a VP or a manager of an organization that you want to work with, by the time you both get to the 10th floor, how can you have enticed that individual to want to learn more about you? So it's quick. It's a quick summary. So I'm going to pass out this form. And I'm going to give you about 3 minutes or so to think of developing your inventory. Think of kind of some of your experiences, your past experiences, where you're at now. Key things that you can incorporate into your elevator pitch.
Can we have some extra ones?
Oh, yes.
Just 2.
Thank you.
And you can This one's too just.
Do you write bullet points or points?
You can do bullet points. I mean, bullet points are always easier because, you're not just reading it verbatim, And you can kind of switch it around. But I think as you create your inventory, think of bullet points. It's also, short, simple, and to the point. That's okay.
I don't know, like yesterday, because it was really boring.
It sounds like something's working in here. I think that's okay. It's that reflection coming. This is just a little quick activity to help get the juices flowing. I'm gonna highly encourage, go back, after the session, after the program, and really think of, because I feel like this is a piece that many of us, and I'm gonna include myself too, we don't take time to really reflect on what we've done and what we've accomplished. Okay, I'll give you 5 to 10 seconds to wrap up. Okay. I'm going to share with you a few years ago. I was doing a presentation with a colleague. And they started off by asking some questions and asking, the students, well, what are 3 strengths that you bring to the table? Students were like, what's some of the past experience that you would feel would be beneficial for my company? And everybody's he put them on the spot, right? But when it comes to this, you gotta be ready to talk about yourself, right? So he changed the conversation a little bit by asking students about their phone. Oh, what kind of phone? I see you have the iPhone there. Ooh, what do you like about that iPhone? What are the apps that you use frequently? And the students were talking about their phones like, tomorrow. And he's all like, wow. He goes, do you work at the Apple store? No. But you could you could even sell this product, right? He goes, and that's how I want you to sell yourself, to market yourself. You've got to be ready, because at the end of the day, these are critical things that are going to help you stand out from the competition. Because guess what? All of you, well, except one of you is a transfer student, right? Who's a transfer? Okay. So you may finish before them. You're probably going to finish before them. But everybody else, chances are when you go out there, 4 of you are going to be applying for maybe the same internship, maybe applying to the same graduate program. And then at that point in time, it kind of boils down to how do you make yourself stand out from your peers. And these may be your best friends, but at the end, there's only one position or one graduate program in a spot. How are you going to take that? So you got to be ready to always be confident about the things that you're learning and you're gaining, and incorporating that into your elevator pitch as you're going out to meet people and connect with people. So, saying that we have less people, usually I would do this practice, but let's go around the room. And yes, we're going to have to share. So again, that's us getting out of our little comfort zone. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pair you up. And I know that we have 5, so I could serve as the other, I'll pair somebody up with me. But I want you to practice your elevator pitch with that person. Okay, so we're going to do a little practice, and then we're going to share. We'll each have, maybe if we have time, a little sharing of your elevator pitch. Again, the key is the practice. So have you pair up and share your elevator pitch with each other. So hi, my name is Elizabeth, and you can go into your little, because these are going to be kind of the key things: the educational background, involvement, your past experiences, interest, accomplishments, what you're interested in, to do something similar to this piece. Again, this is a little bit more someone who's been in school, but ultimately it's your education, your related experience or skills, and career goals, and how this opportunity, you're going to be part of the Allied Health Academy, is going to partake in that. Okay? So we'll have you two pair up, and then I'll pair up with you. And again, just share, do your 30 to 60 second commercial with each other. And then, and make sure you do the handshake, the eye contact, that kind of stuff. Okay? All right, go. Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to meet you.
Like, Anna, do you want to say it? Awkward.
Thank you. All right.
I'm currently a student at Catholic College, and I'm not sure which major yet, so I'm undergrad. But I know that I'm interested in something in the math. So my past experiences include taking management classes in high school, doing finger sticks for myself and others, doing a year analysis, and joining a medical program that helps explore different jobs, careers. I'm interested in becoming pharmacist, but I don't know the titles that yet.
Explore.
Yeah. And I'm also interested in helping others.
So, hello, we're right here first. But did it help having a relation? Okay.
Even though I kind of struggled to put it into
Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm currently a staff member at the Tour Center. As a career specialist, students interested in pursuing that. Past in the field of health and my past role also management, students, providing staff development, and training, which really drives my interest in education, really providing some responsive experience as a recruiter to share with students why I'm interested in pursuing this master's degree. But I think we have a strong foundation of knowledge to programming with students. Piano practice might elevate to something that as far as like something
This is
Have you done something like this before?
No,
No,
I never heard of that.
elevator pitch, yeah. So now you're one of a few students a chance to practice it. So good. See, and sometimes this, just allow us to be an introduction and then kind of it makes the elevator really transition into conversations. All right. So how did that go?
I don't tell
So,
them.
I mean,
So,
how many days have you spent? Yeah, this is not your first day, right? Yeah, so.
This is week 2.
Week 2, okay, so you've been around each other, so, again, that's what makes it a little challenging with this, because many of you already know each other, know the foundation. But as you were doing this, were you able to share some info that you're like, ooh, I didn't know about that? Like what?
I didn't know that she interned or like volunteered as a teacher's
In a school? Okay, so she has, some educational focus and experience, what else?
She's been a leader, their club, and was a captain for tennis.
Oh, okay, awesome, what else?
My partner over here, she said she's had past experiences and working at summer camps, and she's interested in helping others and helping children.
Okay.
So, over here, he worked in an organization that, what's it called? That
Okay.
called people to look into the elections.
Oh, okay. How about for you, Jeannie?
I didn't know you were working towards a master's.
Well, I kind of added that. I've already finished the master's. But I think as I was relating to just being involved and kind of further pursuing education, because at one point I may decide on a doctorate, but I'm still exploring that avenue. So, yeah, a lot of those things that, as you kind of draft this, it helps you into thinking of some additional things that you may not have even noticed, right? Or you might not have known about yourself too. Because, it's not like you don't do anything, right? You're constantly building onto your experiences, your knowledge. And it's not until you get a chance to draft something like this. Erin and I usually do a statement of purpose workshop. And this is kind of an activity that we incorporate, somewhat similar to this, about conducting your inventory, thinking of your experiences and jotting that down. And sometimes students are like, ooh, I didn't realize, I'll look over and they have like this big long list that they've put together in just a short amount of time. So imagine if you focus more on that reflection piece. And honestly, a good way to go into more in detail with this reflection is if you put together your resume. How many of you have a resume? A good, strong resume. Ready to go. Like, let's say I'm the key employer that you've always wanted to work for an internship, a job, whatever. I'm willing to wait for you until you finish. Only thing I need from you is your resume. How many of you would be able to give me a resume right now before I left and feel comfortable and confident that that resume is marketing my skills? Good. And then a lot of that is just, again, investing the time into that piece. Have you met with someone to review your resume? Okay. And that's how, usually you're not in this alone. We're here to help you too. So the beauty is, even before you start school, you could actually come in to see us, start using our services this summer to come in and get a resume critique or even get help started on updating your resume. So I'm going to give you actually get a chance to have, since it was a small group, I'm like, oh, bring the career guide. Give them the career guide. This is, I call this the career cookbook. You name it, everything you need to do, you need to know about, or kind of an overview about career planning, career preparation, career exploration is in this book. Now, usually cookbook, recipes, to make good food. These are recipes to help you, create a successful, career goals. In here, you'll find resume samples. And there's actually one for those of you that are first-year students. There's a first semester freshman. So it's page 22. And then there's a few other samples in there. And guess what? When you know you're going to a networking activity, or you know there's an opportunity for you to network with people, you should always have a resume ready to go. Because you could be standing at the grocery store, strike up a conversation while you're paying for your gallon of milk. And all of a sudden, the person you're talking to is a pharmacist or somebody in that arena or works in conjunction with the pharmacy department. And now you have a contact, right? You gotta maximize that contact. So you open up with your elevator pitch, you start conversation, and let's say they say, we have an internship. Do you have a resume? Can you send it? Here's my card. Send me your resume as soon as possible so I can forward it to someone. So you got to be ready with that resume. Even before you go out there, you may not know that this contact, this person that you're meeting, could offer you an opportunity or could potentially connect you to someone. So using the samples on this guidebook could help you get started in updating your resume and even thinking of key things that you should include, maybe in your elevator pitch or in your statement of purpose in the future, or help you assess of something to further develop and make it a stronger document. Is this helpful? Okay. And also look at, because part of it too is we got to challenge ourselves with our written communication skills, our communication skills in general. As I was, usually depending on the group of students that I'm meeting, if I'm meeting with seniors, sometimes some of the words that I'll use will be a little bit more as opposed to working with freshmen in high school. They might not understand some of the words I throw out. So again, tailoring it, right? Which is why we have, some sample resumes that are more targeted at first-year students. Because as first-year students, you can use some of your high school information. So even in creating your pitch and talking about your involvement in high school too is going to be critical. Because then that way you're showing that you're being proactive, even as early as your high school years. And then how that's going to transition into, your roles or your interests, as you pursue your studies here at Cal State Fullerton. So definitely use this guidebook. There's a lot of other information in here, but I feel like the resume piece, the resume part of the career guide is going to help you with that reflection and creating your elevator pitch or commercial in the future. Let's see. Those are all the key points there. So we did that. And then, and we only got a chance to practice this with one person. But as you go into the room, keep in mind that no one introduction is going to be the same. If you go into a conference or a job fair, your introduction with one employer may sound a little different from the introduction that you're going to have with that other employer. Because based on maybe the organization or the opportunities that they offer. So keep that in mind. A lot of the key things, from your inventory are going to tie in with maybe your interests, but the conversation or, the initial, part of that elevator pitch could be a little different. So get creative with that and really focus on honing in what is unique about that organization or that person. What do you know about that person or their role and how they can help you, create or gather some of that information. And always remember with your elevator pitch, that strong handshake, eye contact, a smile. Good. No bone crusher, no wimpy fish, or limpy fish, or wimpy fish that, cooties. No. It's all about confidence, right? It's all about confidence.
Okay, because I did someone that would just like have their hand out and then would let the other person drink their hand. So she was like that.
It's all like, yeah, you do the work.
Yeah.
No. And networking, that's a 50-50. Again, I mean, primarily you're creating objectives. So what are your primary goals in meeting these individuals? And also think of, and you'll hear me say this often, and a lot of us at the Career Center, it's more of the quality, not the quantity. It's not the quantity of people that you're meeting, right? It's not like it's a race. I'm gonna meet more people. And I gotta widen my network. Well, it may help in helping getting the practice in, but at one point, it's gonna be the quality of people that you wanna target that are gonna help fall into your plan of pursuing your career goals in one way or another. Whether it's finding a mentor, whether it's, talking to one of your professors to find out more about the research that they're doing that ties in with your area of interest. So there's going to be a common goal as you do this. Who do I network with? So often students think that it's just, well, at their university, their faculty members, their staff members, but it's not. Sometimes even classmates could, let's say you're interested in going into an educational setting and making that impact. So now you have someone that knows somebody at a school district, right? So that could lead. I've had some conversations when I do networking little activities for some of my workshops on internships and things like that. All of a sudden, there may be a student that are like, oh, they're interning at the place that I want to intern at. Who should I contact? So, sometimes it's not just going to be certain people in the industry, but it's going to be people around you, your informal network, even your friends, your family members. As I said with this particular example, the staff member, her sister-in-law worked in the hospital industry, in a hospital. So that allowed her to reach out to that person and see if they knew of somebody else that could connect the daughter with the volunteer program. So family and friends. And then we host a variety of campus networking events here on campus. And you'll find that. 40,000 students, there's always something going on. And sometimes I walk down and I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that this was happening. Or, I hear from a network, hey, are you attending XYZ? You should go. So part of it is that you want to, especially as it relates to many of our events, we host anywhere between 3 to 5 job fairs, expos every semester. And I want to say September, we have a kind of public service, social service, like a nonprofit, government workshop. I think we're still trying to figure out the title of the event. And then we have our internship and career expo. We also have graduate school expo. And it allows you to, again, give you an opportunity. We bring employers, we bring recruiters to come on campus to network with you, to share information, of what their opportunities are. And an opportunity for you to gain some information that may be relevant to what your interests are. So take advantage of that. So classmates, student organizations. How many of you were involved in clubs and orgs? I know you were. Clubs and orgs on campus at your high school, at community college. What were some of those groups? Okay, very good.
Which is like an environmental club.
Okay,
RSVP, which is like a student of voice and Link, which is like a mentoring.
okay, perfect. So even for you, maybe in the future, being a mentor. One of the key things, I don't know, it was shared, but College of Health and Human Development has a peer mentoring program as well. So you can become a mentee, in addition to the Allied Health Academy. And then in the future, a lot of those mentees then become mentors, for the next generation of students that are coming in. How about for you? Or some of your
I was involved in United Asian Club
okay.
and Happy Hour.
And what was the last one?
Happy Hour.
Happy Hour?
It's a program after school that tutors kids.
Okay. Perfect. What for you?
For Cyprus? I mean, for college
Uh-huh.
or high school?
Either.
For Cyprus, I was part of the Allied Health. And for high school, I went to really small, it was like 100 kids. We didn't have that many clubs, but I was in ASB, basketball, and volleyball.
Okay. How about for you?
I was a part of volleyball, STEM club,
Okay.
CSF, and Key club.
Okay. So a lot of those organizations, you join because of a reason, right? You didn't just join just to say, oh, I heard that college applications, they look at involvement again. It kind of goes back to that quality versus quantity. There was some connection to the goal of those organizations, whether it was community service, whether it was, being involved as an athlete, whether joining leadership, roles or gaining some leadership experience. Here on campus, we have more, I think last I saw numbers was like 250 clubs and organizations on this campus. Everything ranging from not only department or field related, but also, that may be connected to an area of interest that you'd like to do for fun. Or if you like to do sports, you could join a sports, not necessarily being part of the sports teams here on campus, but you could create, maybe gain some new, where you gather some of your buddies and play against other teams, just for fun, type of thing. So there's a variety of things and ultimately those are great opportunities for you to network, to learn about others related to the field that you're interested. We have Kinesiology Student Association. We have the Health Science Honor Society. We have LNSA, if any students want to embark in kind of health professions such as like becoming a doctor, dentist, pharmacy, and things like that. They're SHIPA. So there's a variety of them, and oftentimes those are great opportunities for you to kind of be intentional and strategic in joining. That way they give you some added networking opportunities as well. Employers, as I said, we bring them every semester. They're on campus. So what I would encourage you is to get into the habit of going to the Career Center website and look at our calendar of events. You'll see every semester, as far as workshops, we may host anywhere between 40 to 60 different workshops every semester on various topics related to resumes, interviewing, salary negotiations. Often we bring in employers to, again, network with students and learn more about their opportunities more directly as opposed to you going to them. So information sessions. Some employers may come like Easter seals. They come every semester and host an information session, provide information about their programs. COPE, Health Scholars, is another program that a lot of the students and HHD may embark to gain some experience working in hospitals. So usually they come onto our campus at least once a year to provide students info about their program and also ways to apply and how to stand out as a candidate. Conferences. We have a lot of on-campus conferences, but there's also a lot of off-campus, more professional conferences that you'll learn more about, that are more specific within the field that you want to embark on. Just out of curiosity, and I probably should have asked this at the very beginning, what are kind of the career goals that you have? What areas? I know you kind of told me a little bit of yours. How about you? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Social worker.
Social worker. Hi.
Sociologist.
Sociologist. therapist, a dentist. Okay. So yeah, all of those, chances are you'll find at least one professional association that's connected to that field or that profession. Do you know which professional associations are lined up with the field that you want to go into? Do you know where you could find that information or who you could ask? Huh? Career Center. It could be one of the sources, but you could also talk to your professors in the areas or again, your network. But there is a resource on our Career Center website that's called What Can I Do with a Major? There's actually two. They're databases or Ferguson. And in there you just type in on Ferguson, you type in the title of the physical therapist. It's going to give you a list of all these. It's an encyclopedia of job descriptions. Then in that key information, it's going to give you a list of unions and associations. But American, I'm trying to think of the name right now. I was going to say YODA, but that's occupational therapy. But there's one for physical therapy. It's American Association of Physical Therapy or American Physical Therapy Association, I think it is. There usually they may have information about upcoming conferences that are related. And some of those conferences may have discounted membership rates for students. Because if you're a professional, you may have to pay $500 to $700 or $750. Sometimes the rates are pretty high for people in the profession. For students, they may have a really discounted, like $75 for an annual membership. So those are opportunities that you could kind of gauge and see if it's the right fit. And you do see some investment and some benefit in becoming a member, because that it does allow you to network with people in the profession. Additional networking avenues. LinkedIn. Have you heard of LinkedIn? Have you used LinkedIn? You have? So LinkedIn, for those of you that don't know, I call it the professional Facebook. So it's a social media, social networking platform that allows you to meet and connect people virtually, right? That are part of a group. You could join groups, you could join conversations related to the industry. Just as a matter of fact, this morning I was working with a student who was interested in kind of exploring what else he could do with his health science degree. So we went in, and it was a health promotions disease prevention track. That's one of the areas that you may be able to select from in the future within your major of your health science. And so we went in and I just typed in health promotions, and it gave a list of all these people that in one way or another are doing something in health promotions. And so, I think it had like even 1 million people, because it's not only national, but it's actually international. There's people on there that may be abroad as well. The other piece is that it has a functionality that you could connect with alumni. There's a Cal State Fullerton alumni group that has about 140,000 alumni in there. And most likely you'll see me where you kind of do a search. I know a few of the people in our office usually show up. But then you could type in physical therapy and get a list of people that are currently in physical therapy, or maybe in physical therapy school. And then they're alum. They graduated. They were once in your shoes. So then you can reach out to them via online and ask them to connect with them. Ask them to share maybe a little bit more about their journey. How did they get to where they're at now? Or you could identify people to do informational interviews. If you're looking at shadowing, have you heard of shadowing? Right? Shadowing is where, let's say you want to become a career counselor. You did an informational interview with me, and now you want to sit in some of my sessions to get a glimpse of me in action, right? I could say, this is what I do. But when you see me in action, it's completely different. So that's going to help people kind of get a better idea. And then the next step is, in creating those connections and creating that network with that person, then you could potentially ask to see if they have any opportunities for an internship, a job, or volunteering. or being part of their organization in one way or another. So it's kind of the after effect, the trickle effect that comes about, you connecting with people on LinkedIn. So it's a place, because often students come in and I ask them, do you know people that are physical therapists or social workers? And chances are they don't. Do all of you know? I mean, you may have maybe one or two in mind, right? But it's all about talking to a few different people. So if you're looking for, use LinkedIn. And if you need some assistance, you can schedule an appointment with me or anyone in our office, and we could help you navigate the LinkedIn, because there's just a lot of information in there. But I've had students that through their involvement on LinkedIn and through the conversations, there's some group discussions that they've been involved. They've been reached out. Employers have reached out to them and offered them, internship opportunities just by being involved in those conversations. Because part of it is that you also want to show that you're doing something, that you're being proactive. You're not just relying on your academic knowledge, but that you're doing something on your end to learn more about the field. So what do you know about the fields that you want to go into? How do you keep yourself informed? I'm giving you some insight into some of the questions that are going to be asked later down the line, right? But how do you keep yourself informed of how to be a social worker? What are the standards, of the field? Right? You do your research, right? And where could you go to do some of that research? So you're using those kind of networking opportunities to really gain some of that information, doing those informational interviews per se. Yeah. The professional associations with each area also have a lot of information about. I know in education, when I was applying to my graduate program, that was actually one of the interview questions that we had in our interview. How do you keep yourself informed of the changes that are occurring in higher ed? And there's NASPA, there's ACPA, there's these professional associations that usually have information that's relevant to the changes that are occurring in the field. So doing some of that research now and talking to some of those people could help you extract that info. Attending community, so as I mentioned, that it's not just here on campus, but it's things, some of these professional associations may have webinars or seminars or sessions or workshops that you could attend. They may be looking for volunteers. Volunteering at a conference to help with check-in. And then through that, I can tell in my graduate program, we were required to attend a regional and a national conference. I don't remember if for Allied Health Academy, are they required to do something like that?
Well, Erin attended a conference, so
Okay.
I'm sure if encouraged.
Yeah.
Laura would encourage it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good way. So in my graduate program, we were required, so we had to do a regional and a national. And what I would do, I would sign up to volunteer a slot, 2 or 3 hours to help with check-in. Because I figure checking people in that are attending the conference is a good way to even just get to know people. So that way, and I usually try to do it at the very beginning, like the first day. So that way I had the next few days to really try to go, and at least I knew people, that I could probably reach out to because I had gotten a chance to meet them at the very beginning. So those are just kind of some strategies for you to think of, being intentional and kind of creating and establishing and building onto your network of using sources, of using conferences as a good way to do that. And it's a good practice, as I said. Right now you may be like, oh yeah, I was okay, cool, doing meetings, introducing ourselves to each other. But, later on, the goal is for you to do it more frequently, do it more often, get to know more people. And you're gonna get a lot better, I promise you. I used to, when I was in high school, even dancing or anything like that, it just scared the bejesus out of me. I just didn't want to. And I'm a first generation student. My parents came from Mexico 40 something years ago. So growing up, I'm the oldest too. So a lot of that stuff I feel helped me too, and really kind of pushing me out of my shell. because I wanted to be that role model for, my siblings. I have, I'm the oldest of 4. And so I had to really go out and push myself to do it. But I remember sometimes friends used to drag me up to stage, and then as the moment came that I could get away, I would go and sit down. Because I didn't, I'm like, no, you go do it. You go do it. But I had to break out of the shell. And then, when I started to embark, I am actually a product of mentoring. I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it would not have been for a lot of my mentors in high school. I was involved in MECHA, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Islam. But, we got a chance to go to a lot of different activities at universities. My mentor, my advisor, my MECHA advisor, as well as my high school guidance counselor that kind of served as my mentor. So I'm like, you know what? You shouldn't just go to community college. You have the grades, you've been involved. You could potentially go to UC campus. And, for me, my parents just didn't have the financial, the money, to send, one of their children off to. My dad used to make like $20,000. My dad's not a farm worker. He's worked in the farm industry, definitely. I grew up in Central California, and my dad's a dairyman, so he used to milk cows. Grew up out and running around, with the cows and all that as a kid. But eventually, I knew I had to kind of do some of the research and the work myself, because my parents, as much as they supported me, but they didn't know, one, the language, or didn't know where to go to get these resources. So, I had to, again, kind of get it in me that, well, if I don't ask, then I won't know, right? And so slowly but surely, and I feel like my involvement in high school, and then even when I got to UCR, I'm a UCR alum from my undergrad. First year, again, I was the only student from my high school that went to UCR. So I didn't know anyone. I had to start fresh. How many of you know people coming here to Cal State Fullerton? Okay. How many of you don't? You? And it is kind of nerve-wracking at the beginning. But again, that's where kind of getting to know people and building your network is going to help you later down the line. And it's going to get a lot easier. Now, I've had a chance in my career. Sometimes they're all like, okay, you get to go to this conference by yourself. Okay, I might not know the place, but I manage because I feel like I have the practice and the skills to be able to network and find out information. So a lot of that really kind of ties in with many of these opportunities. There's ample opportunities for you to network. If you had those at the high school level, you're definitely going to have it twice-fold, threefold here at Cal State Fullerton. There's always something going on, whether it's in your college, whether it's university-wide. But I really need you to take advantage and be proactive, and take initiative of taking advantage of those sources. These activities are being put on the calendar for a reason. There's intention to all these activities. How many of you have interned before? I've had some students that even at the high school level have had a chance to do interning or being part of the regional occupation of the ROP program or things like that. So those are good ways to at least get that foot in the door started. But even as you start here, I always encourage students to do a few more internships. Don't just do one. Because for some of your majors, you may be required to do one before you graduate. That doesn't mean that you wait until you graduate or until it's that time for you to do that internship. You want to get started before. Because those internships are going to provide you a good foundation and give you an opportunity to learn something about the field that you want to go into. Research shows that 60% of the jobs are found through networking. So again, it's not only what you know, but it's who you know that can help you get connected. Questions? Is this helpful? Okay, kind of puts it a little bit more into perspective. right? And really the importance of networking, right? So now define your network. Everybody has an existing network. So I'm gonna ask you to make a list. I'm gonna call it the networking map. So if you flip over that purple page, I just want you to start jotting down people that are in your current network. So whether, again, it's people from your high school, people from, your involvement here at Cal State Fullerton, your community service, your involvement in church. So just start jotting down people that you could potentially reach out to, gain some information about something.
Do we have to go specific?
Yeah, I would say write their names. Because if you put family, then, you can have quite a few different people in your family. Field of interest. So this is, you're creating your inventory of your contacts. I think for me, I would need like a few pages. My assessment says an I. Yeah, but I don't know. I do like my alone time, but when it comes to this, especially if I'm passionate about it and know that information I'm sharing is benefit to students or who want audiences, and I just kind of say, okay, push it out and focus on providing that information, and then I'll go back to it. How about you?
I'm an introvert and ask you later.
Okay.
So I would love to talk to you.
Very nice. Definitely. You have my
I
information.
do have it, so if you,
Yeah.
you're
Of course.
I'll make it.
Yeah. Just call the front desk and say, that we've talked and, we want to schedule. I could grab some coffee or something.
Okay, great, thank you. I mean, Erin's been a really great mentor.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is my third year,
Okay.
so
Well, welcome to the Cal State Fullerton family.
thank you. Yeah, I'm an introvert and I'm still trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
So I tell that I'm on really honest with my students. I'm still figuring it out too.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes through some different phases. I know
Yeah.
I made that change 9.5 years ago and I started here.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I was new to, I had left what I had been doing 10 years to do something completely different, but I knew it was something that I was interested in learning more about, and I figured, I go out there and do it. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, I go back to what I was doing before, and that was 9.5 years ago. So, sometimes we just kind of challenge ourselves too, and that may include breaking out of our little introversion. So,
Well, yeah, I'd love to take you to lunch.
okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, they're a good group and we're small. We wanted to get 25, but they're a very good group.
Oh, yeah. And, it kind of goes back to that evolving versus.
And yeah, they got really close with each other, so.
Yeah. I also did a summer bridge program right now, also in high school. I was the summer before my senior year in high school. I was just when I did that test, Fresno State. And yeah, I feel like that also helped me, especially when I was transitioning, I was going to UCR and getting people there. So I felt like that was a good way. I met there were about 50 of us, summer bridge program. Yeah. And then, people that I kept in touch with that, but at least it gave me that opportunity to experience going to a university, being there, and learning and meeting people.
Yeah.
So that way, when I did that a year later, I felt more comfortable used to be hard not knowing anyone. In high school.
Oh, it was like good.
In high school, I did college, I didn't do it. I did more business related. I was a business.
Is that what you were doing before?
Some resources. All right, I'll give you probably another 10 seconds, 15 seconds to
I'll find
kind of
my
wrap
pen.
up your list. Some list, good list. Okay. So how was that? How's that experience? Again, just getting that all down on paper. Are you surprised at how many people you know that you could eventually kind of reach out to? Little did you know, right? And then, as you think of kind of those individual people, bless you, there may be different ways that you could use them as a network. Maybe for scholarships, for employment opportunities. One person can serve both, or references. Because guess what? In the future, you're going to need references, especially as you apply to graduate programs. So, it's about identifying those people and then finding out in what way you can establish that connection, that relationship with them to help you also they're going to help you plan, and they're going to be kind of an informal mentor. Some of them could be formal mentors, but ultimately they're going to be able to share to a potential employer, potential graduate program, what your journey has been. So you can't just say, well, I'm going to use them for this time, just to get this job and that's it. Because even when you get a job or an internship where you volunteer, those people are going to help to vouch for you later down the line. As it relates, oh yeah, they were great at working with patients in the hospital setting. They were always very helpful. They were collaborating with a few other people. Those are the type of skills that employers like to see in candidates. So they're going to be able to vouch for you in that sense. How many of you had more like family and friends on there? A mix. How about academic? On the academic side, teachers, advisors, staff members at work. Okay. How about professional? Professional could be more of like your network for like jobs, internships, volunteering, that kind of thing. Yeah, quite a few on there. Okay. So those are typically tend to be kind of the broad categories: family and friends, academics, and then professional. Especially for grad school in the future, grad programs will ask for at least, you'll need at least one of each. One academic, one professional, if not maybe two of each. To submit like letters of recommendation or even verification letters or reference letters. So always keep in mind, that's going to start with creating that relationship from the get-go. It's like watering a plant. You may have a seed, but if you don't water it, it's not going to blossom into a nice little plant, right? Same thing with relationships, with connections, with networks. You really have to follow through. You have to keep in contact with them, especially if you're going to need them in the future. See, questions? Sometimes it's hard to do a presentation after lunch because I know, what you guys go eat? Gastronome. Oh, have you been eating there every day? Okay. How's the food? How many of you are living on campus? Really? Really living on campus? Living? Are you going to be commuting? Yes. All of you commuting? Okay. That's good. I always think of my experience, because I moved. I went from Central California, Fresno Bakersfield area to Riverside. So I was like 5-6 hours away from home. So I wasn't driving home to get the Mexican food that my mom would always, give us, right? And I missed it so much. And I came freshman 15, eating at what was our gastronome there. And getting it's like, ooh, cool, you get to eat XYZ, all of the dessert that you could have. needless to say, that's why I came to freshman team, right? So nice thing for you, if you're gonna be commuting, that's an option, that you can go there, after, wanna find something, maybe once every blue moon. I mean, I know there's discounts, or not discounts, but you can get a good deal. And that's all you can eat, which is nice. So even us as staff members, we get to go there once in a while. I try to go, usually their salad bar. So as you think of kind of your next steps in networking and even using your inventory, part of it is practice. Practice with people that are on your inventory, that are on your list. Start small, to help you build those skills. Start with those people that you know. Practice your elevator pitch with them. Even for you. I mean, did you put all of you down on your list? Summer Bridge peers, right? Now you got another person or a few multiple people to add to your list, right? It's like, hey, whatever you find out of a conference that's health professions related, let me know. Whenever you know that there's a job opportunity in a hospital setting or a medical field, let me know. So start small, start practicing with each other. That's a good way. Again, it's all baby steps. It's all a matter of building, further developing these skill sets. And then even with folks such as Anna and Aaron, maybe some of the other guest speakers that have come in, as you start taking your classes, especially the major specific classes. Another thing that you could do is you could even, again, and this is somewhat being proactive and taking that initiative, is going on to the college website, HHG website, and then depending on what your major may be, looking at what faculty members teach in those courses or in that major. And then usually on there, you'll see their bios. Sometimes you could have access to their CVs. Are you familiar with CVs? Curricular vitae, it's kind of an extended version of a resume that's utilized more in education. So you could start reading about some of the faculty members that you're going to be potentially, that are going to be teaching some of your future classes. And you can find out if they're doing research in the area of interest that you may have. And that way you can reach out to them and start to create. So start to find out more about their story. How did they get started? How did they, find this area of interest? How did they identify that? And then, with some of the folks on your list, is talking to them and saying, hey, do you know anybody that, they connect me with? Or do you know an organization? Do you know, often, especially in outside organizations, companies, nonprofits, a lot of them, network and collaborate with other organizations. So even though they may not have an internship, but they may know someone at a company that does have an internship program. So the fact that now you'll get to kind of build on that. And then when you reach out to those individuals, say, hey, I was referred. I met XYZ at a conference, and I was interested in learning more about dentistry. And they didn't have an opportunity for me to shadow there or intern. And I was just wondering, they referred me to you. Do you have any of those opportunities? So being able to use that name dropping, especially if you've gotten to know that person on your list. And this is, I highlight this because nowadays I've encountered it when students email me. And I'm like, you're emailing me, not complete sentences. Everything is in lowercase. And it's like, no. I want you, because part of it is that you need to start practicing this professionalism. And that includes your writing. So we get so used to, even now when I text, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I could abbreviate that. But I'm like, no, let me spell it out. So you want to get into the habit. It's not Facebook. It's not like you're texting someone, especially in this networking scheme. So remember to remain professional in all your correspondence. And that includes even misspelled words, not capitalizing, you know. Again, it's about making a powerful first impression with the networks, the folks that you're trying to build that network with. You know, it's how much are you demonstrating that you're ready for this professional, endeavor. So be careful, and again, be proactive in creating a plan of who you may want to meet, and maybe, as I said, using, well, you could use LinkedIn. You could use LinkedIn to start creating that informal network. So here are just some tips to help you keep in mind, before you network. And this is more pertinent too, especially as you embark and going to conferences at one point or another. You can't just go to a conference if you know that there's going to be people in the profession, other dentists around. Even though it'll be a little formal, for them, it's like, oh, but they're people in the profession, they're already in there. Your main goal is to help get yourself connected. So I'm not saying dress up in a business suit, but, dress something a little bit more formal, and maybe slacks, kind of like what I'm wearing. I'm not wearing a business suit, but, put together, it looks professional, right? Pearls, for ladies, pearls often just kind of give it a little bit of a different look. You don't want to dress up like the Kardashians, or they're not the Kardashians, right? They're probably the housewives or something. I don't have cable, so I don't watch any of those shows. I never had cable. Only 1 year when I was in undergrad, aside from that. But now I, Netflix and all that. So that's where I get some of my connections to some of these shows. But pay attention to grooming and the dress, especially as you go to some of these conferences. Watch what other people are wearing. And again, keep in mind that you're trying to get yourself in there, right? Here are also business cards at one point or another, especially when you're going to those professional conferences. You could actually go to, and it's not called printing and reprographics anymore, it's called something a little different, but copies of, some of the, well, not the books, but the material that you'll have to get for your classes. You could actually get a Cal State Fullerton kind of logo on a business card with your name and your contact information. So you can use that. So some students invest sometimes in purchasing, business cards, a few business cards, or you can do Vistaprint too, if applicable. Research the event, audience attending. I usually tell students when they go into a job fair, they just don't want to go to the fair. They want to get prepared before. Want to be intentional. Check out who's attending the fair. What are the employers that you want to talk to? What are the employers that have opportunities that relate to what you want to do? And out of 100 employers that we have at some of these events, you're not going to meet with each and every employer. You may be only there for an hour. So you want to make sure you create your target list and go to those employers. The same when you go to a conference. Sometimes in conferences, they may have a list of the attendees. So create your target list of people that you may want to reach out to. Okay? So the networking, it's kind of what we did earlier. Really kind of upbeat, smile, handshake, eye contact, practice your elevator pitch, and then listen. Listen to the conversations that are happening. Often you may see an employer talking to an individual, a candidate, and you may want to stand, behind them and just kind of listen, what that employer may be saying. And if you already have that information, don't ask them again. Maybe you have a pressing question that you want to ask. So listen and really keep your eyes open to what some of the information may be that is going to be helpful for you in creating that stronger network or creating the information that you need. And a quick note on cell phones. Nowadays, cell phones have kind of taken over. I'm actually going to Montana next week, and I'm looking forward to it. We're going to go to Glacier National Park, and no cell phone reception at all. Maybe there's a little internet, reception, in the lobby of the hotel that we're staying. But aside from that, nothing. And I'm actually looking forward to it because we've gotten so engulfed in our cell phones. Sometimes at presentation, at job fairs, I see sometimes employers with their cell phones, and candidates may not be as approachable, or that might kind of shine off some candidates from approaching their table. So again, when you go to some of these events, any type of networking event, put the cell phone away. You may want to get a picture of all your friends that attended as well, but maybe save it towards the end. Your primary goal as you get there is to really build those connections. Once you do that, then you kind of remove yourself from ambiance, from the environment, and then check your voicemail or check your texts and then respond to them. They'll be constantly, because when they see cell phones, that kind of disrupts, that connection, with people. So don't take or make calls. Even now, when people go into interviews, candidates go into interviews, I said, don't take your phone. Because I've had phones ring in the middle of an interview. Yeah. And sometimes people are like, oh, I thought I turned off the ringer. And they forgot. They're so nervous that they forgot. And it disrupts the interview. And it just doesn't leave good taste in the experience. So I always encourage students, if you're gonna go to an interview, you're not gonna need your phone at all. If it's an emergency, let family and friends know where you're gonna be interviewing. They can call the front desk, and if it's a real emergency, then they can call. But leave it behind. And then once you get back into your car or you get out of the interview and you're done for the day, then you can take out. Again, remove yourself from, don't walk out of the career center and be like, okay, now I'm going to check my phone. Wait until you get to your phone to maybe check your phone. Okay? Basically, put it away. Okay? So now you've done all this networking. You went to a conference, you gathered some business cards. One thing I forgot to mention with, especially when you're getting those business cards, as you prepare, networking, this is kind of big when you go to conferences too, interviews and things like that, having a nice portfolio. And you don't have to spend 50, 60, 100 bucks. You can find something for like $10 at like Office Max or Office Depot or maybe Walmart. So when they give you, at the conclusion, you've had that conversation, don't monopolize people's time too. So if you go to a job fair, you see that you're talking to an employer and you kind of, briefly look back and you see like 10 students behind you waiting to talk to that employer. Don't monopolize. Say, you know what, I do see that there's other students. Thank you for the information. I see other students waiting. Would it be possible for us to continue this conversation, outside of the job fair? Here's my business card, or may I have your business card, so I can follow up with you. Then, they give you the business card. Don't immediately put it in your pocket. Don't immediately put it away, right? This is a little kind of networking etiquette. Look at it for a few seconds, and then put it away. Put it in, usually with these things, they'll have the little sleeves in there. That way they don't fall off, right? And then once you're done, you could go on to your next person and go from there. What I would recommend, especially when somebody gives you, because if you're going to be talking to different people, you're going to forget, right? So in order to keep yourself organized, what you may want to do, and again, do this, let's say I'm the employer, or you're the employer, give me your card. Don't turn it around and make a notation right then and there in front of them, because it's like you're writing on their card, So go outside, go to the bathroom, then you can make a notation on there. They said they had this job shadowing opportunity in their dental office. Then that way that you could reach out to them, because you're going to be getting a lot of business cards. So then you want to keep yourself organized. Create a database or an Excel spreadsheet that you could jot down, what were key information or key things that stood out from that conversation with that person. that you're gonna be able to incorporate in your follow-up with them. So stay in touch regardless of your need for a favor, because you may not need that favor right now, but later on, you may need to reach out to them because you found out that they've done research on a particular health disparity or a health issue that you want to learn more about. And so you may want to reach out to them to find out more about other ways or other people that they may be able to refer you to. And treat your network connections as, friends, respected friends. Don't just see them as, okay, it's another person for me to throw into my list. And then follow through. Follow through is really critical. I have students that schedule appointments with us and don't show up. And then when it gets really busy, some of us are booked like 6 to 8 weeks out. And so you may be scheduling the appointment, you don't show up. I could have filled that with the appointment that she was trying to make. So I know you're busy as students, and especially when you do this, because people are going to remember. Let's say later down the line, you need a favor, you need to get some information that I've met with students at conferences or activities or presentations that they come out and network with me. Then later on, they may email me and like, hey, let me see if I can get them in earlier. Instead of having them call the front desk and wait 6 to 8 weeks. Chances are it's going to be hard, but sometimes I may have some time block that if I had that conversation with that student, then it may be easier. I'm like, oh, yeah, they really need some help on their resume. Let me try to get them in before, instead of having them wait until. So even networking with career center folks can be very beneficial for you in the long run. And then pay it forward. Reciprocate. Because at one point, as you start building your experience, as you start building your knowledge, there's going to be newer generations of Allied Health Academy scholars that are eventually going to need some assistance with networking. And that way you could share. What were things that worked for you? What are things that you learned through this process that were beneficial? And you'll test it. Again, this is a lot of general, so what may work for you may not necessarily work for you. So you may have to kind of tailor it or switch it up a bit. And sometimes in the industries, in certain industries, it may be a lot harder to get in. I know dentists, some students sometimes find challenges in trying to get into or trying to find a dental office as opposed to on the medical side. There may be a lot more doctors out there as in comparison to dentists. Same with social work. Social work, it may be a little bit more challenging to go in and shadow someone because of confidentiality issues, but you may know a different route. So, questions? No? Let's see. So this one, I was going to do a final group activity, but I feel like we need a bigger group. Yeah. I was going to break you into groups, and I'm like, I'll break you up into individual groups. I was going to do the count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the 4s over here, all the 4s. So I'll bypass this. But again, remember, networking is an ongoing process. It's not just a one-time thing. And the constant, practicing is going to help you along the way. Yeah, this is kind of that final. So do's and don'ts, just really quickly, and I think I talked about some of these, but don't monopolize people's time. Don't use and abuse, don't be aggressive, to go out there and be like, no, it's just me that matters, So when you go in to a networking event, don't go in there, like all 5 of you, go in there and talk to the same employers. Because at one point in time, you're all competition, right? So ditch the clique of going in groups to some of these activities. Because sometimes as you're with peers, you may be, or they may be doing more of the talking than you, especially if you're still new to it, that you're not gonna get a chance to really challenge yourself. So avoid going into kind of as a group, as a clique, you know, to some of these sessions, especially if we recommend students with job fairs. So, you know, you go there, you go talk to that employer, you go talk to that organization, and then we'll regroup at the end and share notes and ideas. Maybe through that process, they're all like, oh yeah, they don't have any internships for what I'm looking for. Or they do, but it's more specific to what you're interested in, not necessarily what I'm interested in. Does that help? Take notes through that process. Again, whether it's making notations or with that pad blue, you have your line, you know, tackle in there. And send me thank you cards, especially with those individuals that maybe you did informational interviews, you conducted informational interviews with, or they allowed you to shadow, you know, a physical therapist that you reached out to. They said, yeah, sure, come in. You shadow them for a few days, you know, and after that, send them a thank you card or a thank you letter. That's going to come a long way. It's those extra little brownie points that are really going to make a difference. You know, because at one point or another, it's about being, you know, showing that professionalism and definitely demonstrating that you're being proactive and taking that initiative. Questions? Now we're all ready to network? Let's go. Questions?
Where's the career center located?
Career Center, we're located in Lancaster Hall, 208. So the second floor, you know, the fountain that's up at the front with the, you know, the
Orange.
the flags, the two flagpoles. So Lancaster Hall. So we're over by the Mahale College of Business, next to the building that has the Starbucks. So you can go to Starbucks, pick up, you know, or you can come and see us and then go to Starbucks. Yeah, Lancaster Hall 208. It's our office. And we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And if you have a quick question, what you could always do is come into what we call drive-through. So if you go to the homepage here, hear that career guide. If you happen to, you know, need it immediately, you don't have it, and you left it at home, you could actually access the online career guide. You could download a PDF and save it to your Apple device or, you know, your iPad or whatnot. So you could download a PDF. But on here, there's drive-through. So this gives you kind of the steps of, you can come into what we call drive-through. Drive-through is a 10-minute session, no appointment needed. There's a lot of students come in to get their resume critiques, their resume or cover letters or simple questions. But if you feel like you're going to need a little bit more time, you can always schedule an appointment. And you can do that by just calling our front desk, and they have access to our calendars, and they can find a date and time that works for both of us. So drive-through for the summer, we have those hours Monday through Thursday. We're closed from 12 to 1, and then reopen from 1 to 2:45. And you just drop in. That's why we call it drive-through. And we're not going to give you shakes or, you know, coffees or things like that. Sorry. But it's just a quick session with someone if you don't have time to schedule an appointment. The other thing is on here, once the semester starts, we have fall and spring semester. We host what we call office hours in our student success centers. So for me, I'm usually here in this student success center on Thursdays from 2:30 to 4. But I also host hours on Tuesdays from 11 to 12:30. So again, that's very much drop-in, 10-minute session, no appointment needed. At least it gets the conversation started. Because during fall and spring semester, like I said, it gets pretty busy in our office. And we get booked. There's only 10 of us, there's 40,000 students. My college has about 7,000 students. So luckily they won't all come in. And I try to multiply myself, but it doesn't happen. So keep that in mind that there's a few, like for Marissa, for health and humanities and social services, Those are gonna be her hours. So usually they're on Thursdays. Karina. Oh, I think Karina was, Marissa just came back from a leave. And so I think in the time that she was out, Karina was the one that was helping to her office hours. And then last and not least, if you want to request an appointment, you could go here and this gives you the office hours. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, our office is open, or you can just call or visit us to schedule that appointment. And the earlier, the better. Please don't email me and say, I want to get in to see you tomorrow after 2, between 2 and 3. Chances are I may have something on my calendar already. But because I've gotten a chance to meet you and know you, you can still email me. And, it's not, you don't know if I might say, no, I'm not available. But it may be that, I did have a cancellation. So I have that space available. We'll have you come in. But usually students, again, you want to invest. You want to invest in this. You really want to come and utilize and talk to not only the Career Center, but also your faculty. Invest in that time. Because that is really what's going to make the difference if you standing out from the competition. Okay? All right. Y'all ready to wrap the day? Is this our last session for the day? Or do we still have
For today, yes.
Yeah, well, we have a closeout till 3:30, but yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for letting me share a little bit of networking tips and strategies. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Okay?
So thank you, Liz.
Oh, thank you.
This is for you.
Oh, thank you.
On behalf of Ally Health Academy, Beach Cup Summer Fridge. And I realized we didn't read your bio and people were reading along. So could I put you in the spotlight if that's okay? And
sure.
read your bio
Sure.
out loud. So Elizabeth Munoz currently works at the California State University Fullerton Career Center as a Health and Human Development College Career Specialist, assisting undergraduate and graduate students with career and/or graduate school exploration, planning, and preparation. She has been at the Career Center since August 2007. Prior to 2007, she recruited, screened, and interviewed candidates for various employment and internship opportunities in the private sector. She is a first-generation college graduate to obtain her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and minor in Spanish from the University of California, Riverside, and in May 2012 completed her Master of Science in Education with a concentration in higher education at California State University, Fullerton. So thank you to Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And her time.
I'm too. So,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
thank you. So now you all know where to go, right? Or now?
So during week 6 of our program,